Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. I'm continuing on with my series or series of videos, so to speak, to try and just bury this god-awful, all-positive methodology belief that just seems to permeate the dog training and dog ownership world. Again, I'm not certain why it's here. I'm not certain why certain people believe it and why they want to practice such a thing. But the person who suffers is the dog owner. The animal that suffers is the dog itself, because it will fail you. It will. It only makes sense. I mean, at some point, when your desires do not coincide with your animal's desires, then something has to give. I always tell people, if you want your dog to do anything, first of all, make it very clear to them what it is that you want them to do and give them a reason to do it. And just using food and just using love isn't going to get it done. Didn't get it done with my kids. It's not going to get it done with your dog. So why this is out there and we think that this is the exception to the world's rule, I don't know. But anyway, let me kind of just keep going today. I want to talk to you a little bit about what's called safety signal hypothesis and also safety signals in general. How they work for you and your dog, how you'll get this thing done. Captain, you've all seen him in my videos. He's a lovable dog. Dogs can love, and he does love me. We are best friends. He follows me everywhere. He's spot on, reliable in his obedience. He's been in over 500 live videos. Can't do it over. No do-overs like this. Never did he ever make a mistake in any of the videos. So those are out there. Go check them out. So let me tell you what I did with him, and let me tell you what nature did with him to provide that dog that everyone wants to own. First of all, we brought him into our household when he was 8 weeks of age, and we had a 9-year-old German Shepherd. Grumpy old man he was. Well, Captain went over there and pounced on him and started tormenting this resident dog that we had at the time. And without warning, Dax, the name of the German Shepherd, immediately nipped him. And that Captain yelped and he went away and he's like, ow, excuse me, that kind of hurt a little bit. But after a little while, the pain went away. So here he comes again, tormenting Dax. This time, simultaneously, Dax gives a second signal, a growl, along with the very first signal, the nip. And there goes Captain. Ow, oh my gosh. But guess what? From that moment forward, the growl was suffice enough to make Captain back off. In other words, the original nip was signal 1. Then he added, and that responded, or Captain responded with response 1 by going away from Dax. And then, when the pain wore off, he came back, so Dax added signal 2, which was the growl. And he achieved the same result, R1, and Captain left. Now, because the growl got paired with the nip, it soon became known as a safety signal of sorts. And that's all that was necessary to achieve a reliable response from Captain when Dax did not wish to play with him. So again, nip, aversive stimulus, if you've got to call it that, fine, because that's a word that all the all-positive people want to jump on all the time. Yeah, he did it. I didn't tell him to do it or not do it. He just did it because it's called instinct. And he taught this dog to back off. Now, pairing that with the growl, all he needed was the growl. There have been thousands of studies on how do humans and animals respond to little hurts, to injuries, to high stressors, How does our biology deal with it? And how does our cognition and our emotions deal with it? And what can we do to help you overcome these? To either avoid them or to deal with them. And the reason why we do that is because that's the world in which you live. You don't live in an all-positive world. In this world, you get hurt. In this world, you get a little pain. In this world, you get a little suffering. You get a little illness. And I tell you what, if you learn from the little hurts, you don't get the big hurt. You get a couple of minor infections, you often don't get the big infection. Welcome to life on the planet Earth. They know you can't escape it. You will hurt, you will get sick, and you will get super stressed at some point, and then you'll finally die. And because of that, what can we do to help those who simply just don't seem to have the biology to overcome all these things in the world, these harmful things? Or the psychology, the emotional capability, the cognitive capability to solve the problem. How can we help them? That's why they're out there. And in studying that, they studied rats in a cage. They gave them random shocks at random intervals. Just shock, 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 shock. Okay, so of course, after about 3 days of that, these rats were not happy. Their bodies went into an allostatic uproar. Their blood pressure was through the roof. Breathing, heart rates, cortisol levels, stressed. Well, then they came along after 3 days and they gave them a little warning bell right before the shock. They didn't change the level of the shock. They didn't change the number of shocks. They didn't even put it on a schedule. Kept it at an interval. Never know what's coming except for the bell. So it only took about 2 of those little shocks and the rats immediately associated with the bell with the shocks. And guess what? They relaxed. They relaxed. Blood pressure went down. Cortisol in the basement. They relaxed. Because just that bell alone gave them predictive information. They got 2 pieces of information from that bell. Something dreadful is about to happen. But then most importantly, something dreadful is not about to happen. So you can relax. He's not going to spring it on me. Sweet. And the same thing with Captain. He didn't go all pouting, limping. Oh, my world is terrible. Send me back to my breeder. I don't want to live with him. In fact, more than ever, he started to relax around Dax. Dax taught him all sorts of signals that were paired with adverse events, and so Captain avoided them. He could relax. I don't have to worry about Dax just reaching over there and nipping me without a warning. He's going to give me a warning. So until I get that warning, until I get that bell, I can proceed on with life through free exploration, through mimicry. I can learn. And that's what we do. We allow them to learn through your own self-discovery. Just like that, we teach them. So what does a safety signal hypothesis look like for your dog? How do you provide a warning bell? Me? I used no. I didn't growl at Captain. I used no. And along with the no was S1, signal 1. I paired it with signal 2, a little bit of a correction. Or flip it around. Either way it gets done. So it could have been my equal of a nip was a leash correction of some sort. And then came the no. So no, correct. No, correct. No, correct. They got paired. Just like the rats paired the bell. Just like Captain paired the growl. And guess what? Soon, relax, Captain. Go about your life. Do what you want to do until that behavior is not in line with what I desire. Until that behavior is about to get you into a whole lot of trouble and you're about to suffer a great big hurt. So all of a sudden he's doing something like getting ready to chase a squirrel across the road? No. The no worked because the no got paired with a little tiny hurt. A little Band-Aid. He learned, so he stopped. It's called disrupting. I disrupted that behavior. That same no worked for the day that I saw him pick up a sterno log. One of these little fire starter things that you use to start a fire. Cheating. You know the old saying, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Okay, so anyway, not everyone has time to use a little fire starter or rub two sticks together, whatever. Fire starter, deadly. Don't eat that. In his mouth. No. No. Now, that acted, immediately he froze. So now I followed it up with instruction. So unlike the rats in the cage, here's where we vary just a little bit with our dogs. So Captain grabs fire starter. Boom. I say no. He freezes. I follow up with out. He lets go. Done. There we go. And guess what? The out becomes a safety signal. Just like come. Your dog starts running. No. Warning bell. Something dreadful is about to happen. Or, in this case, something dreadful is not about to happen. Meaning I have control. You want two things to lower the stress response? Give someone some predictability, predictive information, and then give them enough sufficient predictive information to allow them to have even the illusion of control. And so now the safety signal for Captain became no, which was followed up by, that's more like a safety signal hypothesis there, followed up by the safety signal. My body, if you turn and come to me, I'm safe. Same thing, you start to pull, no. You now follow up with heel, so no, followed up by heel. He comes to the heel position. It's a safety signal. They've used all sorts of shapes for humans, colors, to help them understand safety signals. And now, when you read here in the Journal of Neuroscience, there's a research article that was published titled The Inhibition of Fear, by Learned Safety Signals. And the very first distinction they make is this. Safety signals are only learned when the subject expects danger, but it does not occur. Why would you expect danger? Because you live in a world that's got danger. You let your dog run unchecked. You use an all positive, only a treat, only this love stuff. I use that. Use it all the time. But it's not the only tool I use. You use that alone. Well, I'm sorry, but your dog genetically was not endowed with the ability to interpret a vehicle. No, their world, they don't have highways out there. So my instinct, my behavior passed down in my inheritance never taught me to deal with a stinking car. So now your dog is running towards the highway. What are you going to do with your all positive? Oh, I have a treat. I have a ball. I have me. I count. No, you don't. It's the squirrel that counts. It's the reason why your dog is running to the highway that counts. Now what do you fall on? How do you keep your dog from getting the big hurt? Same thing. The place cot is a safety signal. Remember, safety signals come in. Let me give you another explanation of it. Right here, and this is based out from Dr. Francis Lee from the Cornell School of Medicine. Safety signal learning involves the ability to associate distinct stimuli in one's environment with the absence of aversive events. Over time, these stimuli thus become safety signals that are capable of dampening down one's response to something threatening. So again, why do they bother to spend all this money and all this research and all this time subjecting these animals and people to all of these stressors, all these little hurts for naught? Why would you do that if hurts don't exist? If you can create an environment in which your dog will not get hurt. See me? I want to save Captain from himself. I know that he doesn't know about a car. Or at least he didn't. He had no clue about a car. He had no clue that eating that sterno log was going to kill him. He had no clue that running over a 2-year-old who's just barely able to walk with any sort of coordination was going to hurt the child. So I'll just go torment him like Dax. He doesn't growl at me. He didn't know these things. It was my job, just like all these scientists come up with many ways, safety signals, extinction modules. What can we do to help you learn about your world? To get a Band-Aid instead of triage. Because by golly, that triage is waiting for you. It can't wait for you. It can't. So what are you going to do? How are you going to keep your dog safe? How are you? Explain that to me, please, because by golly, every time I question one of these all-positive people, they can't explain it to me. What happens when your treat fails? How do you save your dog? Well, you save it by, number one, attaching a signal through safety signal hypothesis with an adversive event. Because at the end of the day, it will work when all else fails. It will work. So like the rats. Ow! Okay, but tell you what, I can get ready for this next time I hear that bell ring, and the rest of the time I can relax. I can go about my business. So it went down. But we're giving it one step more than the rats. I'm giving you an option to avoid the shock altogether. So running towards the highway? No, that's my bell. That's my growl that Dax gave. And it worked because it got paired at some point back in the beginning days of training with a little hurt, with a Band-Aid. Oh, you God, you'll live. Geez, give me a break. It's part of life, make you stronger. Okay? But then I also gave you the ability to avoid it altogether. So yes, something dreadful is out there and it can occur, but if you do this, you come to this safety signal. Come to me. Come to this body right here. Drop into that heel when I say so. Go to that place cot. Don't get off of that place cot. Let go of that sterno log when I say so. Then all of those are safety signals. And they only work because they were paired with something dangerous. Again, not my words. These are straight out of the words from the scientific journals from Cornell University. And God, I could sit there and spend 9 hours and go after one research after another that shows this. It won't work. You can't develop a safety signal unless it was attached at some point with something aversive. There had to be some sort of presence of danger. So again, you got to do it. Safety signals reinforce safety-seeking behavior. Here's safety-seeking. Again, come and lay down and walk by me. And let go of that when I say so. Things of this sort, because they don't know these. You took an animal, brought it into the same world with all those little hurts, all those big hurts, all those illnesses, all of that stress. You brought it into the world. It's living in the same world as you, breathing the same darn air as you. And you have to teach it. You know, just last week, I've got a trash can, big plastic thing, not the most attractive thing in the whole wide world. So I built this trash bin, big wooden trash bin to hide it in till trash day. Well, my trash can's a little bit too big for the bin. But I went out there, and you got to wiggle that thing to get it out of there because it's a little bit too big. So I was kind of pushing up and pushing down and pushing up and pushing down. And I kind of had to do that. I kind of got the technique down. At least I thought I did. Well, I went out there with a pair of Tevas on. I love Tevas, especially during the summertime. Open-toed sandals. Well, guess what? The trash can, boom! It bit me. It sliced part of my big toe. Darn near off. And you know what hurts about a big toe injury? Is it keeps on hurting. Because you bump everything with it. The inside of your shoes, every time you do any sort of exercises, you hit the furniture with it. And when you lay in your bed at nighttime, that big old toe, you just keeps rubbing those sheets. Every time you turn over, it just gives a nice little rub on those sheets there. Enough to just wake you up. But you know what? That was a little hurt. And you know what I learned from it? And I went back and really looked it over, the situation. I said, I could have lost a toe. This could have actually been deadly because there was this big, super heavy trash can full of trash and a tiny little metal bar that kind of holds the whole bin structure together. And had that thing come down at the right angle, it could have either amputated my toe or probably caused a lifelong injury with multiple surgeries or whatever. So I learned. So guess who will not pull that trash can out of his wooden trash bin any longer wearing open-toed shoes? Me. I won't do that. Thank you, trash can. Thank you, life. Thank you for a little bit of luck and the fact that I got a little hurt, because by golly, I'm going to avoid the big hurt. Okay, so that's another video in this line. Your job with your dog, who are slow maturing mammals like us humans, who spend unprecedented time with their caregiver, whose main job, your main job as a parent, feed your offspring and keep them safe. Save them from themselves, because they don't know any better. Let them get a little hurt so they don't get the big hurt. Let them get some little stressors so they're ready to overcome the big stressors. Let them get a little sick so they don't get real sick. That's what life is. That's doing it right. And by golly, your dog lives in that same world. So no one had been talking about any torsions. By the way, those little shocks those rats got, geez, I felt those things. God, on fingers that can read Braille, I'm like, whatever. Wasn't enough to irritate them and upset their day. All right, so nothing super inhumane, because no one's talking that. We're just talking about balancing life out. Reward, love, treats. By golly, I do, and Captain loves the ball, and you've seen it. But also, do what I do. You might not understand it. You might not agree with it. But I'm going to save you from yourself. I'm going to provide you with safety signal hypothesis in the form of a no, stop it, buoy, whatever. And I'm going to attach it to something aversive to begin with, so you pay attention to it. Because any S2, any single 2 like that growl, would attenuate to response 0 without reinforcement. And then I'm going to give you control. Avoid it altogether. Come to what's safe. Come to my side. Come to me. Lay down. Get on that place. It's a really safe place to be. Let go of that right now. That's my job. And so far, I think I'm doing my job pretty well. You do the same. Be safe. Keep your dog safe. I'll continue. I'm going to keep marching this till, like I said, till I bury it. I bury the stupid, crazy, pathetic, willful, ignorant idea so that I can hopefully, through this, can convince even one person to not allow their dog to suffer the big hurt. Be safe.